Welcome to the Seahawks Forever podcast. In-depth analysis on everything Seahawks. And now, here's your host, Dan Viens.
My big picture view of this game is we were sold an identity. We were promised a different identity. Mike Macdonald was intent to go out after firing Ryan Grubb and Scott Huff and find an offensive coordinator to come in and run an offense and a scheme in such a way that complemented what he did on defense. That was, we hear the word alignment when he talks about it a lot. And, you know, I got more of an up-close personal look at that than I ever have in my career before getting to cover all of training camp. We were told every single day, we're going to run the football. It's going to be a balanced passing attack. We're going to work to some explosives, but we're going to spread the ball around. I formation, fullback, 12 personnel, 2-3 tight ends. Pound the rock. Be physical. Dictate terms. A different identity. And then we went out and saw it in action every single day on the field in training camp. We saw that offense have to go up against this defense. We saw how good that defense was again today. We'll talk about that, certainly. And we saw it take it to them at times. We heard the defensive guys say, it's different. It looks different. It feels different. In leading up to this game, the narrative on my channel for me and many of the guests that I've brought on is week one against the Niners, like this is the perfect opportunity to display that new identity, because to break free of this trend of the Niners dominating this series the last 3 years, now 6 of the last 7 they've won. Mike Macdonald drops to 1-2 against them. That's how they've beat us. Running it down our throats, being physical, punching us in the mouth on defense. And we hadn't been able to respond. We weren't built to respond. And so the biggest failure today on the part of the Seattle Seahawks, and I put this on Clint Kubiak, is we didn't see that identity. I take that back. We saw it twice on 2 drives. And those drives led to 10 points in this game. The second drive of the game, where they went down, let's do a little screen share here. Let's go back and look at this. Second drive of the game. After the first drive, and let's talk about that.
I'm a fan.
Oh, gosh. Let's talk about that first drive for a moment. Hated the initial decision to you. First of all, kudos to me with Bryce last night. I said all the talk about running the football, we're going to throw it on the first play. They do. Darnold hits JSN over the middle. Gets the offense going, and then they come out a couple of plays later at 2nd and 5. They bring Jalen Milroe out, and they try just a quarterback kind of a wildcat sneak up the middle, and it goes for nothing. And then we don't see Milroe the rest of the game. So I kind of agree with that part of it. Like, game script is always going to dictate how much, if at all, they use him. And this game script certainly didn't allow for him to come in. You weren't going to want that to happen when the offense was kind of scuffling later in the game. But I just thought, Sam came out, hit that first pass. Charbonnet gets a nice physical run up the middle. Now it's 2nd and 5. Let's keep it rolling. Now you're going to bring Milroe in. Nothing happens. Because as soon as San Francisco came out, it saw him. They loaded the box and they knew he was going to run the football. So I didn't like that. But they respond. Right after the defense gives up a 14-play, 95-yard, 8-minute drive. Now that obviously we saw the rest of the game. That's not indicative of the kind of defense we have. That's indicative of Kyle Shanahan, who is maybe, if not the best, one of the top 2 or 3 best opening script play callers in the league. We've seen him struggle in his career later in the game, and there were some examples of that here that Greg Olsen did a nice job of calling out in the second half. We've seen it cost Kyle Shanahan a Super Bowl ring before. How when he's off script, sometimes his decision-making isn't as good. Just a really efficient drive with Brock Purdy doing what he does best and managing it really well and playing point guard. It was hard to watch at first. It did feel like, I even tweeted it, here we go again. We get the ball to begin with, quick offensive drive. We don't chew up any clock. We don't sustain the drive. But then the response, 10 plays, 69 yards, 5 minutes, Seahawks go down and score the touchdown. And they did it the way they promised they were going to do it. We saw Robbie Utes. We saw I formation. We saw under center. At one point, Greg Olson pointed out, I think 15 of the first 17 plays were under center, and they used 7 different personnel groupings throughout that time. And I remember thinking, as we're watching it, as that drive concluded, this is what Clint Kubiak was hired for. And then it was as if Ryan Grubb's scan card never got deactivated, and he snuck back in the building and stole the call sheet and the headset from Kubiak and took over the game, because they just completely got away from all of that. 3 and out, 8 plays, 50 yards for a field goal at the end of the half. That was a really nice job with just a minute left of moving down the field. Really nice job from Sam Darnold there. They get the field goal to take the 10-7 halftime lead. And then second half, 3 and out, 5 plays, 26 yards, 3 and out, 8 plays, 34 yards for a field goal. And guess what? That 8-play, 34-yard drive, what did we see again? You know, I tweeted it was as if Mike McDonald getting Clint Kubiak's ear. We saw Robbie Utes back there again. We saw under center. We saw fullback. They ran the football physically. And they got a field goal out of it, take the 13-10 lead. And then on the last drive, what up until that point, Michael Thompson, good friend of the show, a friend of mine, had dubbed the Jake Moody game. I mean, the 49ers are going to have a different kicker next week, right? Became the Reek Woolen game. And there's something to be said about these 2 plays that defined that winning drive for the 49ers that tie right into the narrative that I'm trying to present to you. Soft. On the first play, Ricky Pearsall, a little double move. He played it perfectly. Didn't fall for the little shimmy. Turned to find the ball and slowed up. But even though he slowed up a little bit, still had a chance to make a play on the ball. But the way he doesn't attack the football. He's in position, but he reaches for the ball so passively, as if he's just playing lazy catch, and he just expects it to fall right into his hands. And then on the winning touchdown drive, the exact same thing. That was when Brock Purdy threw that pass. I thought, game over. What's he doing? It was the same situation. Reek saw the ball, didn't attack it. Had that ball, at least had a PBU, but passively, softly, waited for it to come to his hands. Even on the pass breakup, to prevent the touchdown a couple drives earlier to Ricky Pearsall on the pylon. Great play. But even that one, he wasn't, when you look at the replay again, like he just kind of flicked it away with his finger. I mean, that ball could have deflected off his hands and been a touchdown then, and it would have been a different game. We were promised a more physical team. And this was an opportunity to send that message to your most important rival in the division. I know I think the Rams still are the favorite to win this division. But also, as I said during the game, I don't know what I'm more guilty of. Maybe overestimating how ready Clint Kubiak was to become a complete play caller, or underestimated what Robert Saleh was going to be able to do with that young defense with so many guys that they let walk out the door this offseason, some of their best players. Because, I mean, kudos to him. Like, that defense flew around more. They were more physical up front. But the thing that drives me crazy is we were promised something on offense and we didn't get it. And maybe he's talking about it right now. I just couldn't wait to see it. We'll deal with that tomorrow. That's not what Mike McDonald signed up for. That style of play, outside of those 2 drives that I described, the 2 scoring drives, that was very Grubb-like. A lot of screens. After the touchdown drive, the first one, which was keyed by Zach Charbonnet, And so we all thought, well, now we know what this is going to look like. It's not going to be Jahmyr Gibbs being running back 1, David Montgomery 2. It's Montgomery being the lead back and Gibbs 2. K9, the change of pace. It was Charbonnet, 6-yard runs. Charbonnet, 5-yard run. Charbonnet, 5-yard run. Then Ken Walker got a 4-yard run. Charbonnet, 4-yard run. Charbonnet, 4-yard run. Charbonnet gets stuffed. And then Charbonnet for the 1 yard and the touchdown. And then after that, Walker, 3 and out. Walker, 3 and out. Walker seemed to take over the lead back role. I actually thought maybe Charbonnet got hurt. It just made absolutely zero sense. And then because of that, we couldn't sustain drives, and so we couldn't see the rest of the playbook. We were going to see the ball be spread around. Tight ends didn't get involved. Arroyo had 1 catch. Barner had a catch for 0 yards. I think that's how it went. Like, all they did was not force it. He was open. Like, we're going to talk about some of the good stuff to come out of this game, but one of them certainly is a performance to Jackson Smith-Njigba, because he was the only guy that Sam was looking for. And yet he caught 9 balls for 124 yards. Had the fumble. That was huge. Can't do that. Can't put the ball on the ground. But for those people who may have thought that, well, without DK there, JSN's not a number one. Like, he certainly was a number one. Cooper Kupp only had 2 catches, 15 yards. Nothing to Torrey Horton. There's the 1 catch for 7 yards to Arroyo, 1 catch for 0 yards to Barner, 3 catches, 4 yards for Kenneth Walker. But Kenneth Walker, 10 carries today for 20 yards, a 2-yard average. Charbonnet, 12 carries, 47 yards. It's inexcusable. It's criminal, really. Then on the other side, like, it's hard to fault the defense, right? Greg Olsen did such a good job, man. It sucks so bad that he got bumped by Tom Brady, because he's better. I think he's one of the best analysts out there. Talked about how having Kittle out, and then Juwan Jennings went out. And so Christian McCaffrey was all they had. And yet he beat us. I mean, it wasn't his most spectacular game. It wasn't prime Christian McCaffrey. His 22 carries, 69 yards, 3-yard average, but 9 catches, 73 yards, and an 8.1 yard average. But what Olsen talked about is like that Mike McDonald defense, and you guys need to get used to this if you haven't already. There's some bend don't break quality to it. He talked about it and made a really great point that his entire scheme is kind of built around getting to third and medium to long, so that then he can really turn up the dial on some of his pressures and simulated pressures. But the run defense was so good early on, really for the whole game. They gave up, Purdy had 17 yards rushing, but they held him to 3.3 yard average. But when you knew in the second half that the only thing that they had was Pearsall and McCaffrey, and you couldn't stop him, and then, then they let their backup tight end get loose a little bit later. I have no qualms about the defense, other than Reek Woolen just doesn't look like a Mike McDonald corner. Everybody wants to talk about the run defense, but it's the ball production. It's the way he doesn't attack the ball, and it literally cost us a game today. There are other factors, of course. There was the roughing the passer penalty that kept their first drive alive. That would have been a field goal attempt, and the way Moody was today, maybe he misses it, but that could change the game script there. But it was so early in the game. I'm just baffled by those two things. How they couldn't do a better job of having someone with CMC in the passing game in the second half, and the lack of identity, how they got away from everything they told us they were going to do and demonstrated. Like that offense we saw against Kansas City in the preseason. Yeah, preseason, right? But it's the approach. There's execution and there's approach. Sometimes the approach can be perfect and you just can't execute. And sometimes the other team has something to do with that because they're trying to win too. But it's the approach. If they had stuck to who they are, who they're supposed to be, stuck to that approach and lost this game, I'd probably be sitting here saying, you know what? Hats off to the 49ers. This team still has some growing to do. This offense still has some growing to do. Now, let's talk about some positives, because there are quite a few positives. Seahawks only allowed 1 sack on the day, and it was the last play of the game that won it, with Abe Lucas getting beat by Nick Bosa. He's an elite player. He's going to win sometimes. He's going to win sometimes. I don't want to hear anyone say, oh, we just paid Lucas for that. Because you know what? Did you see Derek Hall beating Trent Williams today? It happened quite a bit. One of the constant themes throughout the game that Olsen kept talking about is like the pressure rate was good. We didn't get home enough. We only ended up with the 1 sack, Julian Love. But 8 quarterback hits on the day. But our offensive line only allowed 2 quarterback hits and 1 sack. I thought the pass protection was pretty darn good. It's just the play calling didn't really allow them to get to some other things in the offense and allow Sam to kind of spread the ball around. I thought Sam was okay considering the circumstances. Like I think Kubiak just got away from the script or had the wrong script. That was a real bummer. Defensively, though, Julian Love led the team with 10 tackles. Devin Witherspoon was kind of all over the place. 8 tackles. Of course, we had a couple of interceptions. Josh Jobe, great play. I thought Josh Jobe played a really good game. And I think as we move forward now with this defense, that the question may very well become, does Reek lose reps? We saw it happen last year at times. Does Josh Jobe start to get more starter reps? Does Shaq Griffin get a chance to work himself into that? Because that was really, really disappointing. And then they do need to get home more for certain. But they came up with some big stuffs in short yardage. But then one last point before I get to we'll just the give and take, and we'll talk, right? We're going to talk, you guys. We're going to talk it out. But it goes into that identity of who they're going to be: aggressive, physical, dictate terms. Why don't you go for it on 4th down with 3.5 minutes left or whatever it was, with a yard to go, when your defense is playing as well as it is, knowing that if you get stuffed, it's still tied. There's 3.5 minutes. San Francisco has to go 90 yards without Kittle, without Jennings. I don't really get that. We saw in the preseason, we saw them work on a tush push type sneak. Could have done that because Olsen pointed out during the game, it was less than a yard. How do you not go for that? And I said it at the time. And so I have texts to prove it. It's not revisionist history because they made the field goal and go, oh, well, I guess that's all right. We're still going to win it because we should have. And then kudos to, I thought Sam was great coming down, moving him down the field. I think if it wasn't for that sack, I think they figure out a way. I think they score. I think they win. It's a real bummer. Bummer, you guys.